what stands out about Utah when you look at them on film?
Well, I think history would tell you Utah, with Coach Whittingham, takes tremendous pride in playing defense. I think they're second in our league in scoring defense this year, and they're relatively young at certain positions. So certainly just watching his teams play in the past, it's part of their identity that they're going to be tough, they're going to play with great effort. I think they're a really good tackling football team. And you can see that they're making improvements. Some of the young players that they've had to play in the back end are getting better each week, but really disruptive front, in particular the inside players. And when they have the two ends healthy, it's as good of a front as we'll play the entire year. So it's going to be a great challenge, really good practice today. I'm looking forward to going on the road and competing at a high level.
When you have a game like you have against Washington, is it kind of like a fine line to walk that you want to forget about that game and not relish on it too much, as great as it was, but also really think the positives you can and try to implement them this week?
Yeah, I think there's lessons to be learned about, staying in the fight, really responding well to adversity, showing some resiliency. A lot of the intangibles that we talked about in the very beginning, back in February and throughout the off-season program, throughout spring ball and the summer, some of those intangibles start to surface and you start to really see the value in that. So even though it wasn't necessarily the best scoring performance of the year for us, I thought we showed some things that are important to play and winning football, making plays in critical times, and then also just the poise and the composure to stay focused on what was important to winning in the end. So every week you learn some lessons, win or lose. We did make quite a few mistakes, truth be known. So one of the things you always are weary of is you win a big game, but you made some mistakes. So you got to really make sure, kind of put them in a place where they learn from those mistakes. So we're in a good place. I think the kids have responded well. They've worked really well this week and certainly gained some confidence from a big game like that.
I know that things didn't work out exactly as designed on that key fourth down play, but what did you see in that situation leading into it, and then how was that?
Well, I'll tell you what, that's been the unique thing about it. We had some players that did it exactly right, and then we had a player or two, that didn't execute the play. But C.J. French Love actually was doing exactly what he was coached to do on that route. And, truth be known, the guy's never caught the ball the entire week, on that play. So he was doing what he's supposed to do, running through the corner to make sure the guy didn't break on the flat route. It kind of made his eyes go back. The ball is over the top of Jalen, and he catches the ball. So somebody's living right, I guess is what I would say. But, it's just a great lesson that you do what you're supposed to coach, and sometimes things work out. So
I know that Todd said that he definitely wanted to go for it there. Was there a conversation about it, and what went on from your perspective?
yeah, I think we knew even going into the third down call that we were going to go for it. And that's really been our approach. Typically when you get in that position, given how the game was going and where our defense was at, 3 yards, let's go for it and try to win the football game. And the game's over, and we knew that with the amount of time that was left. So we had a good play in our pocket. We had actually run that play earlier in the game and executed it well. So, and really, a good calculated risk on the third down call, So it worked out. I think Coach made the right decision, and we certainly executed the plays with confidence and excited for our players, to go get it done there and finish that drive. That was a huge part of the deal there, to get it with 5 minutes and 20 seconds left and being able to run out the clock. We hadn't done that in the past. We'd given the ball back to the other team. So big step for our guys to be able to do that.
Talk a little bit about your relationship with Napier here. He talks about how specifically you're adapting to his playing style. You see that with a lot of the players.
Right. Well, Nikhil, truth be known, didn't have the best start with me, when I first got here. He had sit around on the couch probably for a couple months going into this off season, and I still joke around with him. I remember when he weighed 234 pounds, so he was a little out of shape when we first got here, and a little bit banged up. going through the offseason and spring ball, but he responded great, had a tremendous summer. Really started to see that competitor come out, and just as a person, his maturity level, and he'd probably be the first person to tell you he's still a young guy and still got a long way to go, but we're proud of Nikhil, and he certainly knows how to prepare, knows how to practice, and he's one of the best competitors that I've been around on game day. So he'll continue to grow, man. Football's a developmental game, and no matter if you play 2 years or 10 years, he could be an 8th-year NFL player, and he's still going to be learning. So I think he knows that. He's got a heck of a coach in Coach Likens, and you know he shows up and tries to get better every day, and that's all you can ask for him.
What was the difference maker in kind of fixing your guys' relationship and making it better?
Well, I think him doing what he's supposed to do, pretty simple, you know, and learning that, you know, we weren't going to compromise. You know, that was the thing. We had to have a few hard talks, you know, and sometimes I think how you treat your best players on the team really, because the other guys are watching, it's critical that you are consistent in your approach. And I think he's learned that. The whole group has bought into that. And if we can continue to do that, we'll have success in the future.
I asked you after one game about time of possession, you said some positive things about how you felt about that. And that's continuing to be a plus for you guys.
Right.
Can you just sort of talk about your thought process with your game planning and then during the game to sort of help yourselves in that regard?
Well, I think it can kind of go both ways. You know, the play count is really what's critical. You know, you really want to keep an eye on your defensive play count. And sometimes throughout a game, if you're working well together, you know that your defense maybe is fatigued. You know that it's a time in the game where you need to control the ball a little bit. So we're kind of working together in all three phases to play better football as a team. I think that's critical. But we certainly want to keep our defense off the field. Now, I'll be the first guy to tell you, I want to create more big plays. You know, we need to hit some home runs, and that's something that's missing. We hit a lot of doubles, you know, and what we've seen is we can sustain. You know, we do have double-digit play drives. We do finish in the red zone. All those are positives, but we need to create more big plays. And I can do some things better to help us in that area. But, you know, every game's different. Heck, you win some games, you know, and it's a shootout. Sometimes, you like Saturday, it's a tight game, and you do what you need to do. But we certainly are doing what we need to do to be in position to win in the end. You know, we've been in contention each and every week, so hopefully we can continue to do that. But at some point, you know, we need to break out and hit some home runs and score more points, you know.
I have a pretty good relationship with Bill Belichick. He ran those 2 plays, Chief on Patriot, that both won the first drive. How did that kind of come about? Just developing that, and you started working on it recently, or was that all about?
We've actually had that series of plays in for a couple weeks. We've been working on it. You know, we spent 4 days up there in New England. We spent quite a bit of time watching their low red cut-ups, you know, and different things. They were really good down there last year. So it was a unique play. We had the perfect guy to run it and throw it to with Nikhil. Guys really blocked well on the perimeter, and you know, it's a good concept. We knew they were going to be in man-to-man, and Nikhil did a good job getting it in.
With the tough stretch of schedule you guys going through right now, how is it important to have leaders like Daniel, you know, sharply out,
Well, I think in general, you know, on offense, we've got a good player in position at about every unit, you know, and that's one of the things that I think is critical. Is in each room, you need a guy who's kind of the enforcer, a guy that's a great example, a guy that can kind of relay the coach's message. They're oftentimes there without us. You know, they're in rooms, there's no coach around. So you need that accountability. Manny certainly is that in the quarterback room for us, but we've got other guys. We have Jalen Harvey, we have Sam Jones, Tommy Hudson, DeMario and Kalen are both in that category. So, and I meet with those guys every Sunday, and those are the things that we talk about. But you certainly need guys in each unit that can help your team perform on a consistent basis, and that starts with how you meet, how you practice, everything you do off the field. We got a good group. There's character in that group. So hopefully we can continue to improve as we go forward. Well, the big thing is, and we're getting better, is we've eliminated a lot of the negatives, and that's on every person. You know, that burden and correcting those deficiencies is as much my responsibility as it is any player. So we're getting better in that area. We eliminated some of the sacks. We had less negatives, less tackle for losses. I think we need to create more explosives. You know, we got to get better in the vertical passing game. We're doing a good job in red zone, and we're, you know, decent on third down. You know, we're not elite by no means, but big thing is just create more explosive plays. And when we do get opportunities to make those plays, you got to make them. So consistency is the key, you know, and eliminating the defects. We need to improve, and it's a collective effort, you know, and I think it's every individual player, coach, everybody in the organization's got to do a better job.
We're at the halfway point now, Billy. From the start of the season to where we are now, is there someone that's shown a lot of improvement, maybe playing at a higher level than you didn't quite expect at this point?
Kyle Williams would be the guy, you know. I mean, he's the guy who we knew he was a great athlete in the off-season program. You know, I was high on the guy in the off-season program. We're just doing agility drills and a lot of sprints and that type stuff. But, you know, then we go to the football part, and then you see him running routes, and you're like, he's a developmental player. He's a good athlete. But that guy has just worked. I mean, and he is attentive. He's conscientious. He's really intelligent, and man, he's taken off, and he's really one of our better players. So he'd be the guy, and it's a product of his work for sure.
Speak more of that intelligence. You're saying intelligent broadcasting, be a doctor or something, or everybody.
Yeah, I think he wants to be an orthopedic surgeon, maybe. But he's in Barrett honors. I mean, he's one of the better students that we have. He's a disciplined kid. He's got a lot of maturity. He does a lot on his own. He does a lot of extra stuff. He's coachable, man. He shows up every day. He's a sponge, and if they were all like that, you know, we probably wouldn't need coaches, truth be known. But no, he's a heck of a young man. He's got a bright future in front of him.
Your offensive line combated a very strong Washington defense. How have you seen them improve and grow throughout the season?
Well, I think we've developed a plan each week. We're getting a little bit better at putting them in position to be successful. They've always been a great effort group. They're a really tough group. They practice great. You know, I think more than anything, we've done a good job as a staff of putting them in position where we're doing what they can do, you know, and not putting them in position where maybe their deficiencies show up, you know. So, you know, a lot of that is continuity. A lot of it is regimen, you know, getting into that game week flow, really learning how to prepare. They were an inexperienced group last week. Now you got a new staff, so there's a little bit of a learning curve there. But I think they'll get better as we go, and we still have lots of room for improvement, not only up front, but in every unit.
Very good. Thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.